could tell us a little bit about deep listening. Is there a little bit to be told?
Well, deep listening is my practice. For, I don't know, 45 years or more than that. I think we come into the world as deep listeners, and then things go this way and that. But listening has always been a very fascinating practice for me. And I consider listening to be a process that we engage in through our whole lifetime. And it's an evolution that depends on our experiences and our interpretations, decision-making, and of the waveform that is coming into our ears all the time. That never stops. But listening is something that we can turn on and off in a variety of ways. So, what I try to do is listen to everything all the time in a very inclusive, impartial manner, unless something is threatening me. Then I get partial. But, in other words, my attention narrows to the threat or to the pleasure or whatever. But we have inclusive listening, which can expand infinitely, or we have exclusive listening, which is focused and sharp in detail. And it's moving between these two faculties that we have that makes up my practice. But it really came about some 45 years ago when I put a microphone in the window and recorded whatever was going on, and then listened back to the tape and discovered that the microphone heard things that I hadn't heard, which was a great challenge. And so I said to myself, Pauline, listen to everything all the time and remind yourself when you're not listening. And so I've been practicing that ever since, and that's really the basis of the process.
And are you also a practitioner of deep listening?
Yes, I am.
And as an author and a writer and a journalist, how does deep listening influence the printed word for you? If that's a fair question.
Well, I think that, that's interesting. It's almost as though it comes from the other way. We're hearing the words as we're writing them. And so, yes, I'm listening to the sounds of the words, and then they're on the page. And then there's the other way. They arise from the page again when we're reading them. And we're actually often hearing and listening to the words when we're reading them. And there's actually a book called Listening to Reading, I think it's called. It's very interesting.
And as a spoken word performer, where do you get your text from?
Well, I don't know where it comes from. The words or the images may come into my head, and then they come out of my mouth. And then often, sometimes they're words that I have written, but they never come out exactly as I've written them, and they may come out in surprising places. So that's where they come from. So I never.
That's like asking where do you get your ideas?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't really know what is going to come exactly. Although sometimes there'll be a word that is coming in my head before I speak, and I'll say it.
And does it take you by surprise when that happens?
Frequently, yes. Frequently, but that feels good as well, to be able to surrender to that process.
And then you're both artists and creative artists, and you're both also active community builders. And I'd just like to ask you, what each of you, how making art relates to building community.
Without community, there's no art.